Hi YouTube.
Hey YouTube, this is your boy GB Reviews, trying to give you a in-depth detail review of the 2018 Q5 truck. As I said, I'm going to try to keep these reviews clear and to the point for folks who are not really car folks, but who are looking to buy cars. It is raining today, but that's how dedicated I am. Your boy's out here in the Audi raincoat, trying to let you know a little bit about the Q5. So with that, I'm going to do a quick walk around first, and then I'll talk a little bit about the car. It's an Ibis White Q5. It's 2.0 engine, standard. But I'm going to walk a little bit around the car and then talk about it, and then I'll show you the engine and the trunk space, and then we're going to go inside to get out of the rain. So as I said, this is a 2018 Audi Q5 Ibis White. It's a standard edition, but it has upgraded tires. So these are the 19-inch wheels with the rims that come with the 19-inch. As you can see, it's standard Audi fare, but it's the new body style. So it's 2018, the new body style. It is a great SUV for folks who want an SUV but actually live in the city, because it is a full-size SUV by most standards. It's not extra size like the Q7 or some of the other larger models, but it is a really nice and competent SUV. So let's take a look under the hood. As you can see, I'm gonna hold it down just so you can see the latch thing is actually this kind of a weird mechanism. You just push to the side and then the latch comes up. So that's the mechanism right here. It's a 2.0 engine, TFSI. I'm gonna pull this off so you can see what it looks like underneath there. But that's the engine. Again, this is not the SQ5. This is just a standard Q5. As you can see, they really do a good job of packing the engine in there. You can actually see there's some space in there so you can see the drivetrain. But you know, standard engine, standard Audi fare. And with all the German cars, as you can see, they cover everything up. But what I would say is that it is competent. I've driven this car around. I like it. It's competent in terms of the amount of kind of get up and go when you need on the highway, and if you need to overtake vehicles. Not bad. I have to say that I was quite pleased with it, driving it. It's nimble, but it also drives like a car. So that's the one thing I actually have to say I appreciate about the Audi SUVs. I had a Q7 and they drive like the vehicles, the cars. Definitely not like the, you know, the S lines or the RS lines, but it drives like the standard cars, like, you know, your A7s, your A4s, A5s, that kind of thing. With that, let's go into the trunk. It's raining a little bit harder now, so we're going to do this really quickly. As you can see, it's a standard size trunk. It's the push button standard like before. You can lock it and push button from here. It has the cover that allows you to hide your stuff, if I can figure out how to get it out. But anyway, you can hide your stuff. It has the Audi LED lighting in the back. And I'm going to flip it around so you can see me jump inside. I'm inside the car, as you can see. Pretty good. I mean, if this wasn't up, I am you know, trying to get this all done, even though it's a rainy day, but it's a nice day, so I'm trying to get this all done, and to show you guys how dedicated I am to the channel. Anyway, standard trunk size. I would say, as you can see when I'm standing up, it's above my head. I'm 6'4". So if you needed to put stuff in there, both of those seats actually fold down. I'm gonna fold them down just so you can see what it looks like. So unlike the typical seat fold down mechanisms that you'll find in some of the cars where it's actually on the top of the car, the mechanism for the Audi Q7 is right here. You pull this back and the seats actually fold forward. So you can see they actually fold fully flat. You just gotta move the headrest, but once they fold fully flat, you can see that there's ample room to put a lot of things inside this car. So I'm going to put the seats back up. We're going to jump inside and we're going to look at some of the standard features of the Audi Q5. All right, folks, we're back in the car. As you can see, with all the new Audis, it has the virtual cockpit here. I'm going to crank it up so you can see how that starts. But it tells you in the logo Audi Q5. If it's an SQ5, it'll also say SQ5 in here. As with Audis, you come to expect premium interiors, and this is no different. It has the walnut trimming, but you can get different kind of trimming for the interior. They have the standard leather seats. These are, I think, in gray, but I'll check that. And then you see this. They don't come with the standard sports mats. They come with just standard mats. These are the all-weather mats, and you can. That's an additional upgrade. But I like that. And as you can see with the mirror is edgeless, which is kind of nice, like an infinity mirror. All right, so let's crank it up. See what we get. So that was the start. It was super quiet. It's not aggressive when it starts. Turn this down a little bit just so you don't hear this thing blowing. But as you can see, it's super quiet when it starts up. The car is, again, well equipped with features. The virtual cockpit option is actually, I think, a $3,000 option. I'll drop it in the video just so you can see, but I think it's a $3,000 option. But what's nice about the virtual cockpit that you can see from here is that you get the map here, but you also get the map here. So you could do different things here. Like and they work independently. So like I can change to the radio, I can change to, you know, if I want to connect Bluetooth audio, if I want to do the telephone, I can do all that stuff here, and then this doesn't change. Or I can have them synced up so my passenger can see, or I can use this one, and then I can do different things here in the virtual cockpit. So the virtual cockpit, Audi is moving away from analog dials. I think now there's only a few vehicles that still have the analog. I think it's the A7 line and the A6 line that still have analog. I think everything else is full virtual cockpit. And I think the 2018, 19 A7s are going to actually have full virtual cockpit. There's something to be said about the virtual cockpit features and smoothness of it that I have to show you. So let's go through some of the key features of this virtual cockpit. If you are an Audi person, like you've driven Audis in the past, the setup of this new configuration is actually going to be very familiar to you. So with the virtual cockpit, again, the only difference is now your maps and all your information can be displayed here in front of you, and you don't have the analog dials. But again, the setup on the steering wheel is the same. So as you can see, over here you got the tachometer and you got the speedometer over here. What I can do is if I hit the view button, here's the view button, they actually go into prominent view. So for some people, and then the map is still in the middle, which actually tracks. So if I put in navigation, it'll track it in the middle, and then I just hit the view button and it'll give me the full map, and it'll minimize those things. So look, larger, smaller, larger, smaller. Now in this view, you can also click the dial. This dial goes in and out. So if I want to make the map smaller or larger, I can just roll this in and out, and that'll give me a larger or a zoomed in view or zoomed out view of the maps. I can click on this also, and it'll set the destination. Now if I move these dials left or right, it does different things. Like this is the phone. Right now there's no entries in my directory, but I can make phone calls from here. As you can see, right now I don't have anything connected to the Bluetooth, but if I connected my phone, it would play music, and the information for the Bluetooth would be here. So if I go to radio though, it's going to show up there. So as you can see, Sirius XM radio shows up here, and then I can scroll down and it shows me which station is playing, and I have the settings set for that. So it shows me what stations are playing. Now, what's different on some of the newer models versus the old models is actually these icons here, which are going to be similar to the icons you see here. It's important to remember that they actually allow you to go into submenus. So I can click on here and it'll give me the submenu that's to the left hand side, and I click on here, it'll take me back to the center, and I click on here again, it'll give me the submenu to the right hand side. So for every screen that you have, I'm going to go back to the left. For every screen that you have, there's sub-menu options, right? And then for this screen, which is the screen that shows you, it's called the screen, the computer information screen or whatever, but it gives you like the date, the time, fuel consumption, short-term memory, long-term, and I'm just scrolling the button to do that. But it'll give me all of these things, and the driver assist. Now, because this is just the premium and not the premium plus, this doesn't have, it just has presets. So it'll show me like if I'm about to run into something, it'll slow the car down. But it doesn't have active lane assist, and it doesn't have the stop and go traffic that you can get on some of the higher end options for this car. But it shows you that here. So like there's a car in front of you and it's stopping quickly, and your car needs to sense that and then stop. It'll show you that here. And then again, like I said, you can click on the different things to get different options. So I'm going to go over again back to the map. If I click on it, as you can see, I'm clicking, and then this changes. Now for each screen, I'm going to go back to the other screen just so you can see. For each screen that you're on, you can change the size of the tachometer and the speedometer, right? So it gives you different information depending on what you're doing. So that part I think is actually quite nice. The virtual cockpit is definitely a winner for me. I like it. I think it's one of the coolest features that Audi has come up with in terms of their new vehicles. I think if you looked at videos for the new A8 and then I think of the new A7, they have a 3-screen setup, which is, you know, here. The one thing I would say that I don't necessarily like is the fixed screen. And some of the smaller vehicles have a fixed screen, like this doesn't go in. So it can be distracting. From here you can turn it off, so it's off, but it's still distracting. I mean, it's like this big thing. It would have been nice, like in the A6 and the A6 and the A7, if this went in. But you know, hey, I mean, I guess that cuts down on cost, and it cuts down on future maintenance if that ever breaks. Again, because this doesn't have the lane assist and things like that, this is just a standard cruise control knob. This one does, because it's a premium, it does have paddle shifters. These are just kind of like, I'll show you, just plastic. They don't have the aluminum brushing on it. Paddle shifters. Not sure in this trim that you would actually need the paddle shifters, just because the engine is not robust enough that you need to downshift and upshift. I think it's fine letting the car work in automatic. Let's go look a little bit at the trim. Oh, the other thing I have to mention about this car is it doesn't have the Bose or the B&O system. It has the standard Audi Symphony system. My one criticism, or I shouldn't say, my one recommendation is that you upgrade, if you're going to buy this car, upgrade to at least the Bose system, because I find the Audi Symphony system is a little too bass heavy. Again, I'm not going to go through this because I've gone through this in other videos, but it's just standard fare. Because of the trim on here, you have your seating settings. So if you know, you or your friend, or you and your children, or you and your spouse, you can set, so one person and two. So you have 2 settings here. The mirrors are heated, single position. You can adjust the mirrors from here. And then, as you can see from the door, it's just normal trim. The other thing that you don't get, like if you had this was the SQ5 or an S-Line, the panel here would have the lighting here. So it would say, you know, SQ5, or it would say S-Line here. And so this would light up, but now it's just a standard panel, which is fine. This is leather trim. This is plastic, but this is leather trim. And this is, I think, leather wrapped. Don't quote me on it. I think it's leather wrapped. And then it has the standard cloth header over here. The one thing I do appreciate about this car, which I like in the Q7 as well, is the panoramic roof, and it goes all the way back. And if it wasn't a rainy day, I would actually just open it up for you. But pretty nice. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the kind of setup of the middle part of the console. All right, so we're looking at the middle part of the console, the Audi MMI. It's the upgrade for the Q5 is actually quite nice because it's now touch sensitive. So for this, and I showed you these buttons before, this is a touch feedback kind of touchpad. So if I'm for navigation and stuff, I can actually type in the navigation. Let's go to navigation and then we can see where we want to go. But so I want to input a destination. So we're going to go to input destination, and then I can write something because it allows me to write. See, it allows me to write. Not that I'm writing anything, but I could write. So let me go. Let's go back. So I'm writing a destination. So say
W I with tilde space H space.
So it tells you, and then if I want to go back, it'll let
Delete.
me. It'll let me delete by just
Delete.
moving my hand.
Delete.
See, I'm writing everything.
A S H.
Yeah. So I'm doing Washington. And when I click on Washington, it comes up. Then I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm
The
just going to
route
put
is
that in.
being calculated.
So it's calculating
The
a
destination is on a restricted access street.
and then if you
Please
see
drive to
for the
route
navigation,
shown.
it now shows it here. And when it pops up, you notice that the arrow for the destination is actually, it's telling me where to go, but it pops up in the middle of the speedometer. And if I minimize it, then it's above it. So it's always going to tell you where to go. And then on the map, if I scroll into the map or scroll out, it'll show me the complete destination of where I'm going. And it does that here, but they're independent. So if I want to do that here, I can just use the jog dial. So use the jog dial here, and then it shows you the destination. I like the new Commander style stick shift, or I should say gear shifter. Commander style, and then if you want to put it in park, you don't have to actually put it in park anymore. You just move it up and down if you want to do something. So like say I push it in and I want to go into drive, it's in drive, and so you saw drive lights up, and then if I click park, it goes right back into park, so you know park is on. And if I want to go into neutral, I move it up, and if I want to go into reverse, I move it all the way up, but it tells me, and the camera will pop up. That's the other thing that's nice about this package, is that it has a rear camera. I'm gonna put it back into park. See if that works. Yeah. And then it also has the auto mechanical parking brake. So if I wanted to put that up, I just put my foot on the brake, I pull it up, and now the parking brake is set. And then if I want to take it off, I put my foot back on the brake and I push it down. So we talked about that, the navigation. So that's set and we're going somewhere. I'm gonna take that off, but we're going. Let's delete that destination. We're not going there anymore. So now we're back to the map. The next thing that we can do from here is telephone, and so if I want to call someone, I could type in a number.
3 4.
And then I can do the same thing. So it works exactly the same way. And then as you see these numbers on the top, for a lot of folks, people don't understand what these numbers are for, but these numbers actually work. So like if I'm doing my radio, these are presets. So any of the presets that if I have presets set up, I can just push this button and a preset will come up. So it's the Beatles channel. I don't have to pay the Beatles, but anyway, that's the Beatles channel. And then the other really nice feature that they've done with the new setup is that to minimize the clutter here from the older models, they've integrated the temperature things into the gauges. So these gauges not only function like this, but I can push on it and see it will automatically sync it, and it shows me the temperature on the gauge. And then here are my buttons for, and these are like super, I mean like I'm touching this like super softly, and as I move my finger across it, it shows me the different options that I have. So right now it's set to auto, but each person has a different zone. And then this one, because of the options that I selected for this car, it has heated seats. So it has heated seats, and it has dual zone, and you can sync it. This car has drive select, so you can change. Here's the drive select button here. I can change the different drive modes by pushing the button, so it gives me options to make it either more comfortable, or if I'm off-road, it'll make the suspension a little bit more pliable. Individual means I can set a few things. It's not a lot of settings, but you have a few settings. Let me see if go back to this thing to see if I can get into the setting. Oh no, it doesn't let me. I have to do it from a settings menu. The drive select, and There's not many things you can do because this is not like a sport version of the car, but it has a few things that will allow you to do in terms of settings for the drive select. But the drive select options, you know, you have 5 settings, which is kind of cool. For a car like this, 2.0 engine that you're doing as a daily driver around town, you could leave it in auto. It's going to adjust properly to whatever the conditions around here are going to throw at you. If you are doing some kind of like, you know, sometimes when we're doing like mountain driving, going to the Shenandoahs, things like that, and you're doing, there's a downhill descent control. So you push this, it'll keep your car from over accelerating when you're going down steep inclines, which is actually quite nice. And then the other thing that I like about this car, which is the new feature that many car manufacturers have been rolling out, and they've had it in Europe for a long time, is this auto off. So if you're at a stop sign, so it's like, say I'm driving, I'm at a stop sign, and I come and I brake to the stop sign, the engine actually shuts off. And then when I'm ready to move forward, I pull my foot off the brake, and the engine automatically cuts back on so I can move forward. And that actually is a fuel saving measure for this car that allows you to get a higher fuel efficiency and gas mileage. So I appreciate that. That's actually a really good feature of this car. I think that, you know, as I said, all the manufacturers in the future are going to have. My RS7 does not have it because I guess when you're driving a twin turbo V8, you don't really care about that. But I would appreciate that actually, because I spent a lot of money on fuel, which is kind of crazy. Looking at the lights, the light setup is standard. With some of the cars that have the night vision button would be here, but this one doesn't. It's just kind of a standard, and it's just the auto light, so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to touch it. The lights will come on, and then like it's raining today, I would push this because now my fog lights are on. But again, I want to show you this. It's gonna actually be a pretty quick review. I'm gonna jump in the back just so you can see the back, but it's pretty standard. And like, the Audi standard, these are pretty standard actually. Most of your baseline Audis, but the kind of the metal door openers, it's, you know, it's nice touch. I mean, Audi does a good job of making really clean interiors. I use the word clean not in terms of cleaning it up, but just kind of the lines flow very well, and you don't really have to worry about too much clutter. There's some manufacturers, especially some of the German manufacturers, they just have so much stuff here that it's kind of crazy. Oh, again, with the volume knob, this allows you to advance if you're looking at if you're listening to music. This allows you to advance the music forward and backwards here by moving the button. So if I go like this, I can advance back and forth. One last thing I want to show you in the console is I want to show you the USB buttons. So let's so what I like about the console, the center console, is that this kind of goes up. It gives you some space. There's no storage inside here, but there's storage in here, and you can see 2 USB buttons. These USB buttons, and what I didn't show you because I forgot to bring a USB cable, but the car supports Apple CarPlay and Google Car or Google Auto. And so when you plug it in, if you have an Android phone or you have an iPhone, you can get into your menus and do a few things. And this thing is kind of cool. This little tray, it moves back and forth to reveal the cup holder. And then these are just kind of standard size cup holders with the kind of clamps here, so you can put bigger cups in here. But this is your coin tray. It doesn't come out. I thought it might come out, but it doesn't. It just moves forward. All right. So with that, let's jump in the back real quick. Now, I'm in the back of the car, and I just wanted to show you this. This seat is set for me. I'm 6'4", and I had it set to where it's pretty comfortable. I guess I could have moved it up a little bit, but it's set where I would be like maximum amount of comfort. As you can see, I could sit back here with someone who's 6'4", but it's not a lot of room for big folks. If looking at this seat set for a smaller person, I guess, or a slightly smaller person, sorry. This seat set for a smaller person or slightly smaller person, there's a little bit more room. So like if I move over, I am trying to show you as much as possible. Anyway, if I move over, I have more leg room. As you can see, my knees are in this, and they have these like kind of cutouts for your knees. But This seat is kind of back a little bit far. With a standard person, someone between 5 feet and 6 feet sitting here, it'd be fine. If you had someone who was like 5'2" to 5'7", this would be great. You'd actually have, because I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm gonna switch it around. I'm sitting here and you can see I can get my hands in front, and the seat is not that much further back. It's just the way that that's leaning back, but it's not that much further back. And then here you have standard controls, not heated seats back here, but standard controls. No USB port back here, which I'm surprised about because some of the Audis do have a USB port in the back, but you can adjust the temperature control separately from the front. So the front, as you see, I'm going to zoom in, is set for 76, and I am moving it back to 73 or 74 back here. So you can change that up. The leather for this trim is okay leather. It looks like it would be very durable in terms of, like, right now I just got in from the rain and I'm wetting the inside. But it's durable, but it's not very supple. It's not super nice to the touch. But if you're just here having a car and you're trying to do things and you want to do limited amounts of things outdoors, having seats like this are pretty good, because they would hold up. And the way they designed it is there's no space in the leather where things can I could spill something on here and I think it would be fine, because there's no kind of gaps. And then standard anchors for car seats. All in all, I like it. I mean, back here is super nice. I like it. I think it's a pretty decent car. Maybe I would buy one if I got the SQ5. I don't think I would get the standard version just because of the engine, but I think this is fine. Let's go back up front. So this is the 2018 Audi Q5. I have to say that I really like this car. I want to thank the folks at Audi of Tysons for giving me the opportunity to kind of review this car and drive it. It's a really nice car, and I would recommend this car if you need a medium-sized SUV, you want nice trim, you want to get your bang for your buck. I think the price as shown is about 45 to 47. I'll drop the price in there just so you can see the price, but I think it's really nice. Like I said, this panoramic roof is nice. It's a nice round the town SUV that's not too big, but big enough for you to go to like Home Depot, place like that, grocery store, throw stuff in the back. And the virtual cockpit, amazing. Audi is really at the top of the game with this kind of stuff. One of the things, like I said, that I would have preferred is for their MMI setup for the screen to go down, which it didn't, but it's okay. And then the newer Audis, actually, the screens are now all touchscreen, so you don't really even need that pad that you saw me riding on. But great car, great build, driving, it drives like a car. The engine is robust enough that allows you to kind of maneuver in and out of traffic, but it's not enough to get you into trouble. And I would say, all in all, you get more than the value of the money that you spend on the car. I mean, like I said, the build is high quality. The Audi name and Quattro system is dependable, reliable, and the customer service that you get when you purchase an Audi, I really like it. And this is speaking as an Audi owner. So I would say that I highly recommend this car to anyone who would like to buy it. I think you should, if you're thinking about getting an SUV, and I did a review of a Jeep before, and I'll do some other SUVs, but I would say definitely go test drive this one. It's nice, it's comfortable, it's somewhat affordable depending on where you live, and I would say that it will be a nice ride for you and your family. So with that, GB out. In the Audi Q5.
Subscribe right below.